I travel alone. I document it. My channel isn't big yet, maybe 12,000 subscribers, but I post regularly. Off-grid campsites, van conversions, solo travel tips, that kind of thing. I stay out of cities and I stay off well-worn paths. The further I am from people, the safer I feel. Or I guess I should be saying, the safer I used to feel. Tonight, I'm parked off a forest road in Idaho, miles from the nearest town. It's the kind of place where, if you screamed, no one would hear you. That's one of my go-to videos, by the way. A big scream, loud as I can, and then just the silence afterward. Basically, the place was perfect, until the knock came. A single soft knock. Not on the door, on the window. I froze. It was just after 1 a.m. The woods were silent, no wind, no animal noises. My van is unmarked. I never advertise I'm a woman traveling alone, and I always wait and post my videos a week after I leave the spot, just to make sure no one catches on to where I'm parked. So how did someone find me, let alone creep up without setting off the motion lights? Another knock. Light. Insistent. There was no way this could be anything good, right? My heart was racing, my stomach already twisted into knots. Muscles pulled tight, I reached for my phone. My stupid fingers fumbled it, and it hit the floor mat. The thump seemed thunder loud, and when I sat back up, I nearly screamed. A child's face was pressed against the window. Pale skin, dark hair, wide, staring eyes. But something was wrong. The glass reflected weird, but there was no shine in the kid's pupils. Just black. Completely black. I choked on my breath. Every instinct in me screamed wrong, wrong, wrong. Why was there a child out here? I was so far away from any of the main roads. It wasn't the kind of place children would be. The kid didn't move, didn't blink. Then, another knock. My head snapped toward the sounds, and my stomach dropped. There was a second one. A little girl this time, standing by my back doors. Same dark hair, same vacant, black stare. I don't scare easy. I've slept in parking lots where guys tried breaking into my van. I've camped in places where the only sounds were coyotes circling. I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but I'm also not just starting out. But this was something else. I kept my hand low, fumbling for my knife while trying to keep my breathing steady. That sounds bad. These were just kids, right? But you don't understand. There was something wrong with them. The boy at the window finally spoke. Let us in. 3 words. No emotion. No inflection. Just a flat, empty demand. I shook my head. It made all my hair stand on end. He spoke again, more persistent this time. Let us in. The girl knocked again, harder. I heard it rattle the doors. It was a childish response, but I grabbed my blanket and pulled it up over my shoulders, cowering beneath the heavy cotton like it was a shield. I clutched my knife so tightly, it made my knuckles ache. I don't know how long I sat there, too afraid to breathe. I knew that if I opened the door, I wouldn't be able to close it again. Suddenly, they stepped back. The dark of night engulfed the windows again. I barely had time to process that relief before a new sound nearly made me scream. A tap on the driver's side. I whipped around. There was a third child, a new one. This kid was a little taller. He was maybe 12 at the oldest, standing inches from my driver's side door. Unlike the other two, he was grinning. The handle jerked, but I kept my doors closed so it didn't open. The grin widened. Let us in. The same 3 words again. It wasn't a question, it was a demand. I don't remember grabbing my keys, but suddenly, they were in my hand. I flipped the ignition. The dashboard lit up. My heart slammed. If I had to, I'd run them over. But the engine didn't start. I turned the key again. Nothing. Nothing. The battery was fine. The gas was full. It had started just fine this afternoon, but right now, the van wasn't starting. And the kids, they were still standing there, staring, smiling. I reached for my phone, fingers shaking. No service. Then the tapping started again. Every window, every door. A slow, measured rhythm. Knock, knock, knock. I must have blacked out at some point because the next thing I knew, the van was filled with light. Sunlight. I woke up still clutching my knife. My doors were locked. My keys were still in the ignition. My phone was in my lap, battery at 23%. I risked a glance outside, but there was no sign of the kids. I opened the driver's side door, heart hammering. The air smelled like damp earth, pine. A beautiful, misty morning. My tires were untouched. There were no footprints in the loamy soil. It was like they'd never been there at all. But they were. I know they were. And I know they're still out there too, because my van still won't start. And I'm worried that tonight, the knock will come again. I'm about to turn 30 in April, and I still have no explanation for the events that took place in my old Chicago apartment when I was around 10 years old. My sister was 7 at the time and had a very vivid imagination, just like myself. I didn't always get along with my sister, and we got into little tiffs with each other a lot. One day, she told me she had made a new friend who lived across the street, and her name was Samantha. I didn't believe her because 1, we were always together, usually, and 2, my parents only ever let us play in our fenced yard. There was no way she had time to meet this neighbor, unless of course it was a school friend, which she was not. This went on for a while. My sister would talk about how her and Samantha played all day and talked about funny things. I would give my sister crap and tell her she was a liar and she didn't have any friends. I was kind of a bully of an older sister, but I just didn't believe in the whole imaginary friend thing. I tried to tell my mom about it, but she just assumed my sister was playing around with me and making jokes. One day, when we were playing together in our shared bedroom, I asked her if Samantha could come over and play with us too. She said Samantha couldn't play today for whatever reason, and I laughed at her. I said, "That's because Samantha isn't real." She gave me side eye and said, "Yes, she is." I laughed again and said, "No, she's not." My sister said if I kept talking bad about her friend, something would happen. I just kept laughing. Then, my sister got this nasty look on her face, filled with rage, and said, "Samantha says she's going to get you." I immediately ran to my mom's room and cried to her that my sister was scaring me. She scolded my sister and told us to behave, but it really struck fear in me the way she had said it. Things got really weird after that. I had a Toy Story Jessie doll that would sit on my windowsill with my other dolls. It was late at night. I couldn't sleep for some reason. I just kept staring at the doll. After what felt like a long while, the doll slowly started to rotate its head to look at me. I rubbed my eyes quickly and blinked hard. The doll's head was right back, looking forward like it was before. It sent shivers up my spine. I can still picture it to this day, exactly how it happened. The next day, I was alone in our room watching a movie on the TV. I used to put my legs under the bed while laying on my stomach so I could smack my feet on the outer edge of the frame, just silly kid stuff. When all of a sudden, what felt like a fingertip dragged from the top of my heel down to my toes. I didn't look back, just bolted up and ran to my mom. She came looking under the bed in my room and told me to quit playing around. I started crying and I pleaded with my mom that it was Samantha. My mom brushed it off and just told me again to behave myself. The following week passed and no new things happened. My sister and I were playing Barbies and she started laughing out of nowhere. I asked her what was so funny and she said, "Samantha got you, huh?" To this day, my sister swears up and down she doesn't remember any of it and she has no idea who Samantha is. But I'll always remember. When I was around 4 years old, my older brother 3 years older. I lived in a small house in a shady neighborhood, but I didn't know that my parents were keen and loved me and my brother, so they were sure to make it so my brother and I never knew that and always felt safe. It was me, my brother, mom, and dad. My dad was working late like usual, his hours making him go in at 4, then come home around 2. So mostly, our mom took care of us. It was a sunny day in spring. My mom had just put training wheels on my new bike so I could keep up with my older brother on his. I was having fun, riding on the sidewalk with my brother without a care. At a shady area, I see a car sitting on one of the streets facing me and my brother riding our bikes. It was a big truck. It was red with tinted windows, stopping you from seeing the driver, the paint scratched and dull. At one point, my brother and I sped up ahead of my mom. That's when I started to notice that the red truck had moved and was slowly moving down the street. After going a bit further, my brother and I realized that the car was always behind or next to us. Luckily, my mom saw the truck and yelled at my brother and I to come back to her as she runs up to defend us. She shoots a dirty glare at the truck, and my mom has always been a scary woman when she needs to be. She's strong and had a tough body build. As soon as my mom pulls me and my brother close, the truck immediately drives off at the sight of my mom. My mom pulls out her phone, taking a picture of the license plate because it seemed too off-putting to be someone who was just lost in the area. 2 weeks later, sitting in our small living room at night, watching a movie with my mom and my brother before going to bed. In the distance, sirens had been going off for almost 15 minutes when suddenly, there's the sound of someone trying our back door. My mom gets up, holding it shut. Sometimes the lock was faulty, so she made sure to keep it shut. When the door didn't work, the noises go to the kitchen window, hitting it and trying to open it, even grabbing a rock from the garden, trying to break the window with it. My brother and I hide in our room in our parents' room, the only door inside with a lock, under the bed in the dark. In a matter of a few minutes, the previous sirens were loud now. Police cars going down our street, there was shouting in our backyard. And soon the sirens left, and we were all left shaken by the experience. Turns out that what had happened was that the man who was following us before was running from the police, and took a stop through our backyard and 2 houses before ours to try and break in and hide. The man was a *pedophile and trafficker who would have made me or my older brother his next victims if my mom never came to the rescue. Looking back, I'm extremely grateful that my mother was there and is the mom she is if she wasn't. I wouldn't be writing this more than a decade later.